The scent of blood still clung to Alpha King Gordon Blackthorne's hands when he first saw her. "Hello, my wonderful pack. Welcome back to another heart-stopping tale of danger, obsession, and forbidden love in the Shifter realm. I'm so thrilled you're here with me today. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so now and hit that notification bell. Now, let me tell you about the most feared alpha in all the territories, and the silent girl who brought him to his knees. The throne room of Blackthorne Fortress reeked of wet stone and wolf musk. Gordon stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the rain lash against the glass like claws scraping for entry. His council had just left, their terror still perfuming the air, sweet and acidic. Good. Fear kept wolves obedient. He was about to retire to his chambers when the doors burst open. My king. His beta, Lucien, dragged 3 trembling prisoners forward. 2 men and 1 girl. The survivors from the Moonshadow raid. Gordon didn't turn. I ordered no survivors. These 3 have information about the rebellion, Your Majesty. The men claim they know where the traitors are hiding. Then extract it and kill them. Gordon's voice was ice wrapped in gravel. Why waste my time? The girl, my king. She's different. That made Gordon turn. The 2 men were typical. Scarred, desperate, already broken. But the girl between them was something else entirely. Small. Delicate. Her dress hung in tatters, revealing bruised skin beneath. Dirt smudged her hollow cheeks, and her long dark hair fell in matted waves around her face. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold. Wide. Silver gray. Bottomless. And utterly silent. She didn't plead. Didn't cry. Didn't even tremble like the men beside her. She simply looked at him with those devastating eyes, and something inside Gordon's chest, something he thought dead for years, shifted. His wolf stirred. Mine. No. Impossible. Gordon had slaughtered his way to the throne through 2 decades of war. He'd rejected the mate bond years ago, torn out that weakness by the root. He needed no one. Wanted no one. His empire was built on strength, not the pathetic vulnerability of loving another creature. And yet his wolf was clawing at his ribcage, howling one word over and over. Mine. Who is she? His voice came out rougher than intended. Lucien hesitated. We don't know, Your Majesty. She was found hiding in the Moonshadow Alpha's private quarters. She won't speak. Can't speak, we think. She's mute. Mute. The word hung in the air like a curse. Gordon took a step closer, and the girl's eyes tracked his movement. Not with fear, with something else. Recognition? Resignation? He couldn't tell. All he knew was that he couldn't look away from her. The men, Gordon said softly. Too softly. The kind of soft that preceded bloodshed. What do they want in exchange for their information? One of the prisoners fell to his knees. Mercy, Alpha King. We'll tell you everything. Just spare our lives. And the girl. She's innocent. She's just a servant. Please don't hurt her. Gordon's lip curled. Innocent? There's no such thing in my kingdom. He moved faster than human eyes could follow. His claws extended, his wolf surging just beneath his skin. In 3 seconds, both men lay dead on the marble floor, their throats torn out, their blood pooling like black mirrors. The girl didn't scream. She didn't even flinch. She just stood there, those silver eyes locked on his, and Gordon felt something he hadn't experienced in 10 years. Fascination. Leave us, he commanded Lucien. My king, she could be dangerous. I said. Leave. Us. The beta fled. Gordon circled the girl slowly, predator assessing prey. She was so small. The top of her head barely reached his chest. Fragile. Human-looking, though the faint scent of wolf clung to her skin. Young, maybe 20 winters. Breakable. His wolf wanted to wrap around her. Protect her. Claim her. His mind wanted to snap her neck and be done with this madness. You can't speak, he murmured, stopping in front of her. Can you hear me? She nodded once. Slowly. Are you afraid of me? Another pause. Then she shook her head. A lie. He could smell the fear on her, but it was muted, controlled. As if she'd learned long ago that showing terror only made predators hungrier. Smart girl. What's your name? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Helpless. Frustrated. She pointed to her throat and shook her head. Mute. Truly mute. Gordon reached out before he could stop himself, his clawed fingers brushing her jaw. She went rigid but didn't pull away. Her skin was cold. Smooth. Impossibly soft against his blood-stained hands. I should kill you, he whispered. Every instinct I have says you're a threat. A distraction. A weakness. Her eyes never left his. But I'm not going to. Because his wolf would rip him apart from the inside if he tried. Because something in those silent, silver eyes called to the darkness inside him, and he hadn't felt anything but rage in so long that even this small, strange pull felt like salvation. You belong to me now, Gordon said, his voice dropping to a growl. Do you understand? She nodded. Good. He released her and stepped back, his mind already racing. Lucien. The beta appeared instantly. Yes, my king? Take her to the East Tower. The royal chambers. Give her anything she needs. Food, clothes, a bath. Post guards at her door. No one touches her. No one even looks at her without my permission. Lucien's eyes widened. My king, those chambers haven't been used since. Do it. Now. As Lucien led the girl away, she glanced back once. Those eyes found Gordon's across the blood-soaked throne room. And for the first time in a decade, the Beast King smiled. He had no idea that the mute girl he'd just claimed would either be his salvation, or the end of everything he'd built. Verna had learned long ago that silence was survival. In the Moonshadow Pack, she'd been invisible. A ghost that cleaned floors, served meals, and disappeared into shadows before anyone could notice her. Being mute made her less than nothing in a world where wolves communicated through howls, growls, and dominance displays she could never make. But here, in the East Tower of Blackthorne Fortress, she was anything but invisible. The royal chambers were larger than the entire servants' quarters back home. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Velvet curtains the color of midnight framed windows that overlooked the entire kingdom. The bed alone could fit 10 people, draped in silk so soft they felt like water against her skin. Verna stood in the center of it all, still wearing her tattered dress, and felt like an imposter. A knock at the door made her jump. A woman entered, older, with kind eyes and silver-streaked hair pulled into a tight bun. She carried an armful of clothes and moved with the careful grace of someone who'd served royalty for decades. I'm Geneva, the woman said gently. Head housekeeper. His Majesty has ordered me to attend to you. She paused, studying Verna's face. You're the girl from the throne room. The one he spared. Verna nodded, unsure what else to do. Geneva's expression softened. Come, child. Let's get you cleaned up. Whatever the king wants with you, you'll face it better without half the dungeon still clinging to your hair. The bath was pure luxury. Steaming water filled with rose petals and lavender. Geneva helped her scrub away the grime, the blood, the terror of the raid. As the water turned gray, Verna felt layers of her old life washing away too. You know, Geneva said quietly as she worked soap through Verna's tangled hair, I've served the king for 15 years. Since he took the throne at 19. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you tonight. Verna's hands stilled in the water. He's not a kind man, Geneva continued. He's brutal. Merciless. He's killed more wolves than I can count. But he's also never brought anyone to these chambers. These were meant for a queen. His queen. And he's kept them empty all these years, swearing he'd never take a mate. The water suddenly felt too hot. After the bath, Geneva dressed her in a gown of deep emerald silk that hugged her body perfectly, as if made for her. She braided Verna's dark hair with golden ribbons and placed soft slippers on her feet. When Verna saw herself in the mirror, she barely recognized the girl staring back. "You're beautiful," Geneva whispered. "But beauty is dangerous here, child. Be careful. The king's obsession could protect you, or it could destroy you." Before Verna could respond, the door opened. Alpha King Gordon filled the doorway. He'd changed too. Gone were the blood-stained clothes. Now he wore black leather and a fitted shirt that emphasized his powerful build. His dark hair was still damp, as if he'd also bathed. But it was his eyes that caught her. Amber. Intense. Fixed on her with an expression she couldn't read. "Leave us," he told Geneva. The housekeeper bowed and disappeared. Gordon stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The room suddenly felt smaller. He moved toward her slowly, like a predator approaching something precious and fragile. "You clean up well," he said, his voice low. Almost a different person. Verna dropped her gaze, uncomfortable under his scrutiny. "Look at me." It wasn't a request. She lifted her eyes to his. "Better." He circled her once, and she felt the weight of his assessment. "I'm going to ask you questions. Nod for yes, shake your head for no. Understand?" She nodded. "Good. Were you born mute, or did something take your voice?" Verna hesitated. Then pointed to her throat and made a gesture like something being ripped away. Gordon's eyes darkened. "Someone hurt you. Took your voice from you." She nodded. "Who?" She shook her head. She didn't know. The curse had been placed on her when she was just a child. All she remembered was pain, a blinding light, and waking up unable to make a sound. Gordon stepped closer. His hand came up, and Verna tensed. But he only tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch surprisingly gentle. "I'm going to find out who did this to you," he murmured. "And I'm going to make them suffer." The promise in his voice sent shivers down her spine. "Are you afraid of me now?" he asked. Verna considered lying. But something in his gaze demanded honesty. She nodded slightly. "Good. You should be. I'm a monster, little wolf. I've done things that would haunt your nightmares. But here's the truth." His thumb traced her jawline. "You're mine now. My mate. My queen. And I protect what's mine with a violence that would make gods weep." Mate. The word echoed in her mind. "My wolf recognized you the moment I saw you," Gordon continued. "I don't know why. I don't know what you are or what power you hold. But I know that I'd burn this entire kingdom to ash before I let anyone harm you." Verna's heart hammered against her ribs. "You'll stay in this tower. You'll be dressed like royalty. Fed like royalty. Treated like the queen you are. And in return," he leaned down, his lips close to her ear, "you'll stay close to me. You'll let me protect you. You'll be mine." She should refuse. Should fight. Should run. But where would she go? She had no pack. No family. No voice to call for help. And something in the way Gordon looked at her, possessive and desperate and almost broken, made her wonder if maybe this ruthless king needed saving as much as she did. "Do you accept?" he asked. Verna closed her eyes. Then nodded. She felt him smile against her hair. "Good girl." But as Gordon pulled back and left her alone in the golden tower, Verna touched her throat and felt the curse pulse beneath her skin. A reminder. A warning. That if she ever spoke again, the power locked inside her voice would wake. And everything, everyone she'd just agreed to protect, would burn. 3 days passed in the tower, and Verna learned that being the Alpha King's obsession came with a price. Gordon visited her every evening. Sometimes he spoke about his kingdom, the wars he'd fought, the enemies still lurking in the shadows. Other times he simply sat across from her in silence, watching her with those burning amber eyes as if trying to solve a puzzle written in her skin. He never touched her beyond gentle gestures. A hand on her shoulder. Fingers brushing her cheek. As if he was afraid she might shatter. But Verna could feel the tension coiling beneath his control. The way his jaw tightened when she moved too close. The way his wolf flickered in his eyes when she smiled. He wanted more. And part of her, the part she tried desperately to ignore, wanted it too. On the fourth morning, Geneva arrived with breakfast and a worried expression. "The king has called a council meeting," she said, setting down a tray of fresh bread and honey. "His generals are demanding answers about you. They think you're a distraction. A weakness." Verna's stomach twisted. "There are rumors spreading through the fortress," Geneva continued quietly. "They say the Beast King has gone soft. That he's so obsessed with a mute servant girl that he's neglecting his duties. Some of the wolves are angry. Jealous." Verna wanted to ask what would happen to her, but the words died soundlessly in her throat. Geneva squeezed her hand. "Be careful, child. Not everyone is happy about your presence here." That afternoon, Verna decided to explore. She couldn't stay locked in the tower forever, and the walls were beginning to feel like a beautiful cage. She slipped past the guards. Gordon had commanded them to protect her, not imprison her, and descended the spiral staircase. The fortress was massive. Hallways stretched in every direction, filled with wolves who stopped and stared as she passed. Some looked curious. Others hostile. She just rounded a corner when she collided with someone. Strong hands caught her arms, steadying her. Verna looked up into a face almost as beautiful as Gordon's. Sharp features, ice blue eyes, and platinum blonde hair pulled back in a warrior's knot. "Well, well." The woman's voice was silk and venom. "So you're the little pet that's captured our king's attention." Verna tried to step back, but the woman's grip tightened. "I'm Kiera, head of the king's elite guard. And you," she leaned closer, her breath hot against Verna's face, "are a problem." Before Verna could react, Kiera shoved her backward. Verna stumbled, catching herself against the wall. "You think because he dresses you in silk and gives you a fancy room that you belong here?" Kiera laughed coldly. "You're nothing. A mute little mouse playing queen. And when Gordon gets bored of you, and he will, I'll make sure you disappear properly this time." Verna's hands trembled, but she forced herself to meet Kiera's gaze. She wouldn't cower. Not anymore. Kiera's eyes flashed yellow. Her wolf rising. "Oh, you've got spirit. Good. It'll make breaking you more satisfying." She raised her hand, claws extending. A growl shattered the air. Gordon appeared between them so fast Verna didn't see him move. One moment Kiera was lunging. The next, the king had her by the throat, slammed against the wall, her feet dangling above the ground. "Touch her again," Gordon snarled, his voice barely human, "and I'll rip your spine out through your chest." "My king," Kiera choked, gasping for air. "I was just testing her. Making sure she's worthy of you." "Worthy?" Gordon's grip tightened. His eyes blazed pure gold. "She's my mate. My queen. That makes her more worthy than every wolf in this fortress combined. Including you." He released Kiera, and she collapsed to the floor, coughing. "Get out of my sight," Gordon commanded. "And spread the word. Anyone who harms her, threatens her, or even looks at her wrong answers to me personally." Kiera fled. Gordon turned to Verna, and his expression transformed instantly. The rage melted into concern. He cupped her face in his hands, his touch achingly gentle. "Are you hurt? Did she touch you?" Verna shook her head, but her whole body was trembling. "Come." Gordon wrapped an arm around her waist and led her down the hallway. "We need to talk." He brought her to his private study, a room filled with maps, weapons, and the scent of leather and pine. He poured her wine with shaking hands, and Verna realized the Alpha King was barely holding himself together. "I can't do this," he said finally, his back to her. "I can't keep you safe if my own wolves are turning against you." "Against us." Verna set down the wine and moved to him. She touched his arm hesitantly. Gordon spun, catching her hand. His eyes were tortured. "Do you know what you are to me? Every instinct I have screams to lock you away where no one can reach you. To kill anyone who even thinks about hurting you. But I'm the king. I have a kingdom to rule, enemies to fight, and a council demanding I reject you publicly." Verna's heart cracked. "They want me to choose," Gordon whispered. "My crown or my mate." She pulled her hand free and stepped back. The message was clear. She wasn't worth destroying his kingdom over. But Gordon closed the distance between them in one stride. He gripped her shoulders, his gaze fierce. They can go to hell. All of them. I've fought my entire life to build this empire. I've sacrificed everything. And I won't sacrifice you. He kissed her then. Hard. Desperate. Claiming. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. Tomorrow, I'm announcing you as my chosen queen. Anyone who challenges it challenges me directly. And if war comes because of it, he smiled darkly, then let it come. Verna's eyes widened. He was willing to risk everything. For her. But as Gordon held her close, neither of them saw the shadow slip away from the doorway. A spy. Carrying news that would set the entire kingdom ablaze. The mute girl wasn't just the king's weakness. She was the key to his destruction. The announcement came at dawn. Gordon stood on the grand balcony overlooking the courtyard where hundreds of wolves had gathered. His hand was wrapped firmly around Verna's, his grip possessive and unbreakable. She wore a gown of deep crimson, the color of royalty, with a golden circlet resting in her dark hair. She looked every bit the queen he claimed she was. But the crowd below was restless. Angry whispers rippled through the assembled packs like poison. Wolves of the Northern Territories, Gordon's voice boomed across the courtyard, commanding instant silence. I stand before you today not just as your king, but as a wolf who has found his true mate. The whispers grew louder. This is Verna. She is mine. My chosen queen. And from this day forward, anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. Anyone who threatens her threatens the crown itself. A wolf near the front shouted, she's not even from a noble bloodline. She's a servant. A mute. How can she rule beside you? Gordon's eyes flashed gold. She doesn't need to speak to rule. Her strength lies not in words but in something far more powerful. And I will hear no more debate on this matter. But the damage was done. Verna could see it in their faces. Hatred. Resentment. Fear. They didn't want her. They never would. That night, Gordon moved Verna from the East Tower to his personal chambers. The rooms were darker, more masculine, filled with weapons and war maps. But they were also closer to him. Safer. Or so he thought. You should eat something, Gordon said, watching her push food around her plate. You barely touched breakfast. Verna shook her head. Her stomach was twisted in knots. The announcement had changed everything. Now she wasn't just a curiosity. She was a threat to the natural order. Gordon knelt before her chair, taking her hands in his. Talk to me. He caught himself and grimaced. I'm sorry. I forget sometimes. Verna wished desperately that she could tell him what she was feeling. The fear. The guilt. The certainty that she was going to destroy everything he'd built. Instead, she touched his face gently. Gordon leaned into her palm, his eyes closing. You undo me, little wolf. I've never felt this way. This desperate need to keep someone safe. It terrifies me more than any battle I've ever fought. A knock interrupted them. Enter, Gordon growled. Lucien stepped inside, his expression grave. My king, we have a problem. 3 packs from the Southern Territories have sent word. They're refusing to acknowledge your mate as queen. They're calling for a formal challenge. Gordon rose slowly, danger radiating from every line of his body. A challenge? They invoke the old law. Any wolf can challenge the king's choice of mate if they believe she weakens the bloodline. The challenge must be answered within 3 days, or they'll consider it an admission of her unworthiness. Gordon's claws extended. Let them come. I'll tear apart anyone who dares question my decision. My king, Lucien said carefully, if you kill the challengers, the other packs will unite against you. They'll call it tyranny. We could be facing a civil war. Then we'll have a war. Lucien glanced at Verna, and she saw pity in his eyes. Is she worth splitting the kingdom? The question hung in the air like a blade. Gordon moved so fast Lucien didn't have time to react. The king had his beta by the throat, lifted off the ground. Ask me that again, Gordon snarled, and I'll show you exactly how much she's worth by painting these walls with your blood. He dropped Lucien, who stumbled backward, gasping. Get out. Find out everything about these challengers. Their weaknesses. Their families. Everything. And Lucien? Yes, my king? If anyone in this fortress suggests I give her up again, I want their name. Because they'll be the first to die when this is over. After Lucien left, Gordon paced like a caged animal. Verna watched him, her heart breaking. He was willing to burn his kingdom for her. But she couldn't let him. She stood and moved to the desk where his maps were spread. She found charcoal and parchment and began to write, her hand shaking. Gordon came up behind her, reading over her shoulder. Let me go. It's the only way to save the kingdom. He spun her around, his grip almost painful. No. She wrote again, faster. I'm not worth a war. I'm nobody. Just let me disappear. You're everything, Gordon said fiercely. And I don't care if the entire world burns. You're mine, Verna. Mine. And I will never let you go. He kissed her then, different from before. Not gentle or hesitant but consuming. Desperate. As if he could brand her soul with his claim. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. 3 days, Gordon murmured against her lips. In 3 days, I'll face whoever challenges us. And I'll win. For you. For us. But that night, as Verna lay beside Gordon in his massive bed, listening to his steady breathing, she felt the curse stir beneath her skin. Her throat burned. The magic locked inside her voice pulsed with growing intensity. Something was coming. Something the curse had been waiting for. And Verna realized with cold certainty that the challenge wasn't just about bloodlines or politics. Someone knew what she really was. Someone knew about the power sleeping in her stolen voice. And they were going to force it awake, even if it meant destroying the Alpha King and his entire kingdom in the process. She just prayed that when the truth finally came out, Gordon wouldn't be the one to pay the price for loving her. But deep down, she knew. Love always demanded the highest cost. And the bill was about to come due. The challenger arrived at sunset on the 3rd day. His name was Aldrich Shadowmane, Alpha of the Southern Ridge Pack. He was massive, scarred from decades of battle, with silver streaking his dark beard. But it was the woman beside him that made Verna's blood run cold. An old woman, bent with age, her eyes milky white. A seer. The challenge will take place in the arena, Lucien announced to the gathered crowd. Alpha Aldrich has invoked his right to question the king's choice of mate through trial by combat. Gordon stood on the platform above the arena, Verna at his side. His hand rested on the small of her back, possessive and protective. I accept, Gordon called out, his voice carrying across the fortress grounds. And when I'm done with you, Aldrich, your pack will spend the next century remembering why they fear the Beast King. Aldrich smiled coldly. I'm not here to fight you, Gordon. I'm here to expose the truth about your precious mate. The crowd murmured with anticipation. The old seer stepped forward, her voice cracking like ancient wood. I am Martha, last of the moon seers. And I have seen this girl's true nature in my visions. Gordon's grip on Verna tightened. Whatever lies you're about to speak, choose your words carefully. No lies, your majesty. Only truth. Martha's blind eyes somehow found Verna across the distance. Tell me, girl. Do you know why you cannot speak? Verna's heart hammered against her ribs. It's not a simple injury, is it? Martha continued. It's a curse. A binding placed on you when you were a child. Do you know who placed it? Verna shook her head, trembling. Your mother did. The world tilted. She was a priestess of the old religion, Martha said. A keeper of ancient magic. And when she realized what you were, what power lived in your blood, she was terrified. So she bound your voice, locked away your gift, and hid you among common wolves hoping you'd never discover the truth. What truth? Gordon demanded, his voice deadly quiet. Martha turned her blind gaze to him. Your mate is a Voranth. A voice of the gods. Once every 1,000 years, one is born with the power to command all wolves with a single word. To compel obedience. To break minds. To control even an Alpha King. The crowd erupted in chaos. Lies. Gordon roared. Is it? Martha smiled. Why else would your wolf recognize her instantly? Why else would the mightiest alpha in the territories, a man who's rejected the mate bond for 20 years, suddenly become obsessed with a powerless servant girl? Because she's mine, Gordon snarled. No. Because your wolf sensed her power. The dominance locked in her voice. And it submitted to her before you even realized what was happening. Verna wanted to scream that it wasn't true. But the curse pulsed in her throat, hot and alive, and she remembered fragments. Her mother's tears. The binding ritual. Words spoken in a language she didn't understand. Protect her from herself. Protect the world from her. If she speaks, Martha continued, her true power will wake. And she'll be able to command every wolf in this kingdom with a whisper. Including you, Alpha King. She could make you slaughter your own pack. Destroy everything you've built. End your bloodline with a single sentence. Gordon looked at Verna, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw doubt flicker in his amber eyes. Is this true? He asked quietly. Verna's hand shook. She didn't know. She'd never known what she was, only that the curse kept something dangerous locked away. She nodded slowly. Tears streaming down her face. The crowd's anger turned to terror. Shouts filled the air. Kill her before she destroys us all. She's too dangerous to live. The Alpha King has been enchanted. Gordon moved in front of Verna, shielding her with his body. Silence. The word cracked like thunder, and the crowd fell quiet. I don't care what she is, Gordon said, his voice rough with emotion. I don't care what power she holds. She's mine. My mate. My queen. And I'll gut anyone who tries to take her from me. Aldrich stepped forward. Then you're a fool. That creature could enslave you tomorrow. She could turn you into her puppet. She won't. You don't know that. I know her. Gordon turned to Verna, cupping her face in his hands. His eyes blazed with fierce certainty. I've seen her heart. Her kindness. The way she flinches when violence happens near her. She's not a monster. She's the best thing that's ever happened to my cursed life. Verna sobbed silently, overwhelmed. But Martha wasn't finished. There's more, Your Majesty. The prophecy states that if a Vorant speaks without completing the awakening ritual, their power will explode outward uncontrolled. It will destroy everything within miles. Everyone. Including themselves. So she never speaks, Gordon said flatly. Problem solved. It's not that simple. Martha's expression was almost pitying. The curse is breaking. I can sense it. Something has triggered the awakening. Within days, maybe hours, she'll speak whether she wants to or not. And when she does, this fortress and everyone in it will die. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Unless, Martha added, we complete the ritual properly. Transfer her power into a vessel that can contain it. What vessel? Gordon demanded. Martha smiled. You, Alpha King. Bond with her completely. Take her power into yourself through the mate bond. It's the only way to save her and your kingdom. But there was something in the old seer's eyes. Something hungry and cruel. And Verna realized with horror that this was a trap. Whatever ritual Martha was proposing, it wouldn't save them. It would destroy Gordon. And she had no voice to warn him. Gordon made his decision before Verna could stop him. We'll do the ritual, he announced. Tonight. My king, no. Lucien stepped forward, panic in his eyes. You don't know what this will do to you. Taking that kind of power, it could kill you. Then I die protecting her. Gordon's voice was steel. Either way, she lives. Verna grabbed his arm, shaking her head desperately. She tried to write, but he caught her hands. Don't, he said softly, his amber eyes meeting hers. Don't ask me to let you go. Don't ask me to choose the kingdom over you. Because I can't, Verna. I physically cannot watch you die. Tears streamed down her face. Martha stepped closer, her blind eyes gleaming with something dark. The ritual must be performed at midnight in the sacred grove. The Alpha King and his mate. Alone. No witnesses, or the magic won't take. How convenient, Lucien muttered. My king, this feels wrong. Everything about this situation is wrong, Gordon snapped. But it's the only option we have. That night, as preparations were made, Verna sat in Gordon's chambers feeling the curse burning hotter in her throat. Martha was right about one thing. The binding was breaking. She could feel it cracking like ice under pressure. Soon, she would speak. And when she did, everyone she cared about would die. Geneva came to dress her in ceremonial white robes. The older woman's hands trembled as she worked. I raised you since you arrived here, Geneva whispered. For days, and I've come to care for you like a daughter. Please, if there's any way to stop this madness, find it. Verna wished she could. But what choice did she have? At midnight, Gordon led her through the fortress to the forest beyond. The sacred grove was ancient, ringed by stones carved with symbols that hurt to look at. Martha waited at the center, along with Aldrich and two hooded figures. I thought you said no witnesses, Gordon said coldly. They're my apprentices. They must maintain the circle while I work. Martha gestured to the carved stones. Come. We must begin before the girl's curse breaks completely. Gordon led Verna to the center. She could feel wrongness radiating from the stones. This wasn't a healing ritual. This was something else. Something deadly. Kneel facing each other, Martha commanded. Hands joined. They obeyed. Gordon's hands engulfed Verna's, warm and strong. He smiled at her, trying to be brave. Whatever happens, he murmured, know that you saved me long before I saved you. You gave me something to fight for beyond power and revenge. You gave me love. Verna wanted to scream. To warn him. To tell him this was all wrong. But her voice was still locked away. Martha began chanting in a language that made Verna's bones ache. The apprentices joined in, their voices rising in discordant harmony. The stones around them began to glow with sickly green light. And then Verna felt it. The ritual wasn't transferring her power to Gordon. It was ripping his wolf from his soul. Gordon gasped, his eyes going wide with pain. His hands tightened on hers until she thought her bones might break. What are you doing? He choked out. Martha's laugh was cruel. Did you really think I'd help you, Beast King? You destroyed my pack 20 years ago. Killed my son. My grandchildren. I've waited decades for this chance at revenge. Aldrich stepped forward, smiling. And I'm happy to help. Once your wolf is gone, Gordon, you'll be human. Powerless. And I'll take your throne and your kingdom. No. Gordon tried to stand, but the magic held him locked in place. His body convulsed. Verna could see his wolf being torn away, golden light ripping from his chest. He screamed. The sound shattered something inside Verna. This man, this fierce, brutal, impossibly gentle Alpha King who'd fought the world for her, was being destroyed because he loved her. And she couldn't let that happen. The curse in her throat cracked. She felt the binding her mother had placed shatter like glass. Power flooded her veins, ancient and terrible and absolute. And for the first time in 15 years, Verna opened her mouth. Stop. The word exploded from her lips, not loud but impossibly powerful. It resonated through the grove, through the stones, through the very air itself. Everyone froze. Martha's chanting cut off mid-word. Aldrich's hand stopped halfway to his sword. Even the wind held its breath. Verna rose to her feet, and power radiated from her like heat from a fire. Her silver eyes blazed white. Release him, she commanded, and her voice was layered with something divine. Something that made even Martha whimper. I can't, Martha stammered. The ritual, it's already started. If I stop now, the backlash will kill us all. Verna looked at Gordon. He was on his knees, his wolf half torn from his body, amber eyes dimming. She had two choices. Let the ritual continue and watch him become powerless, vulnerable, destroyed. Or use her voice to break the ritual and unleash the catastrophic explosion Martha had warned about. Either way, she lost him. Unless. Verna knelt beside Gordon and placed her hand over his heart. She could feel his wolf thrashing, desperate to return to him. "Forgive me," she whispered. And then she did the only thing she could. She used her voice to command his wolf not to return to him, but to merge with her own soul. She would become the vessel. She would take his wolf into herself, along with all her awakened power. And then she would run far from this place before the explosion came. Gordon would live. Human, but alive. And she would die alone, protecting the kingdom from her own destructive gift. "Come to me," she commanded the golden light. "Bond with me. Save him." The wolf obeyed. And as Gordon collapsed unconscious, as Verna felt power beyond imagining flood her body, she looked one last time at the man she loved. Then she ran. Into the forest. Away from everything. Toward her inevitable end. Verna ran until her lungs burned and her legs threatened to collapse. Two wolves fought inside her now. Her own small, quiet wolf, and Gordon's massive, furious beast. The power was tearing her apart from the inside. She could feel it building, pressurizing, ready to explode. She had maybe an hour. Maybe less. She stumbled into a clearing deep in the forbidden forest, far from the fortress. Far enough that when the power detonated, it would only kill her. Gordon would be safe. The kingdom would be safe. And she would finally stop being a curse to everyone she cared about. Verna collapsed against a tree, her whole body shaking. The voices of two wolves held in her mind, and beneath it all, her own voice, newly awakened, whispered with terrible power. She could command anything now. Anyone. She could walk back to that fortress and make every wolf bow. Make them worship her. Make Gordon love her not by choice but by compulsion. The thought made her sick. Her mother had been right to bind her voice. This power wasn't a gift. It was a weapon too dangerous to exist. Footsteps crunched through the underbrush. Verna's head snapped up, and her heart stopped. Gordon emerged from the shadows. But something was wrong. He moved like a human, not a wolf. Stiff. Uncertain. His amber eyes were duller, and when he saw her, the usual golden glow of his wolf was gone. She'd taken it from him. Made him human. Destroyed the very thing that made him Alpha King. "You," he said, his voice hoarse, "are the most frustrating woman I've ever met." Verna tried to stand, to run again, but her legs wouldn't hold her. Gordon crossed the clearing and dropped to his knees in front of her. "You took my wolf." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "You were going to die out here alone, carrying my wolf and your power, sacrificing yourself to save everyone else." Another nod. "And you thought I'd just let you?" Verna's eyes widened in confusion. Gordon cupped her face in his hands. "Do you know how I found you? How I tracked you here without a wolf to guide me?" She shook her head. "Because you took my wolf, but you couldn't take the mate bond. It's stronger than magic, Verna. Stronger than curses. I can feel you in my chest, in my bones, in every breath I take. You could run to the end of the world, and I'd still find you." Fresh tears fell. "I heard what you commanded my wolf to do," Gordon continued. "To merge with you. To save me. You were willing to destroy yourself to give me life." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "No one has ever loved me like that. No one has ever chosen me over their own survival." A sob broke from Verna's throat. "So here's what's going to happen." Gordon's eyes blazed with determination, human but no less fierce. "You're going to give me my wolf back. And then we're going to figure out how to control your power together. Because I didn't fight my way through half the kingdom to lose you now." Verna shook her head desperately. She tried to speak, to explain that she couldn't control it, that the explosion was coming, but her voice came out layered with terrible power. "I can't. If I release your wolf, I'll lose control. The power will detonate. You'll die. Then we die together," Gordon said simply. "But we're not dying, Verna. Because I finally understand something. What? Her voice echoed with divine resonance. Your mother didn't just bind your voice to protect the world from you. She bound it to protect you from yourself. The power isn't meant to be controlled alone. It's meant to be shared. Shared how? Through a true mate bond. Gordon pulled her closer. Complete it with me. Not through some twisted ritual, but the way nature intended. Let me be your anchor. Let my wolf be the vessel that grounds your power instead of containing it. That's not possible. Isn't it? Think about it. Why would nature create a power so destructive without creating a balance for it? Your voice commands wolves. But an alpha's bond with his true mate is the one thing even divine power can't break. Verna's mind raced. Could it work? Could the mate bond really stabilize the chaos inside her? The power surged, and she gasped. There was no time left. Please, Gordon whispered. Trust me. Trust us. Verna looked into his eyes and saw everything she'd ever wanted. Acceptance. Protection. Love without conditions or fear. She'd spent her whole life silent and invisible. Maybe it was time to be seen. She placed her hand over his heart. Okay. Gordon smiled, and even without his wolf, it was the smile of an alpha king. Then give me back what's mine. Command my wolf to return. And when it does, I'll complete our bond and help you carry this burden. Verna closed her eyes. She felt his wolf inside her, powerful and wild, fighting against her own. Return to him, she commanded. Return to your alpha. Your mate. Your home. The golden light exploded from her chest. Gordon gasped as his wolf slammed back into his soul. His eyes blazed gold. His body shifted, bones realigning, power flooding through him. And then he grabbed Verna and kissed her with everything he had. The mate bond snapped into place like a lock finding its key. Verna felt the power inside her redistribute. Flow through the bond into Gordon. He took half her burden, anchored it in his own strength, and gave her back stability in return. The building explosion dissipated. The destructive energy transformed into something beautiful. Something balanced. When they broke apart, both were glowing. Gold and silver light intertwined around them. How do you feel? Gordon asked, his voice rough. Verna opened her mouth, and when she spoke, her voice was her own. Still powerful, but controlled. Whole, she whispered. For the first time in my life, I feel whole. Gordon grinned. Then let's go home. We have a seer to deal with and a kingdom to reclaim. Together? Verna asked. Always, he promised. And as they walked back toward the fortress, hand in hand, Verna realized something beautiful. She'd been running from her power her entire life. But maybe it wasn't a curse after all. Maybe it was exactly what she needed to stand beside the Beast King as his equal. His partner. His queen. Dawn broke over Blackthorne Fortress as Gordon and Verna emerged from the forest. Word of their return spread like wildfire. Wolves gathered in the courtyard, whispering, fearful. Some had celebrated when they thought the Alpha King had been stripped of his power. Others had mourned. Now he was back. And he wasn't alone. Martha and Aldrich were being held in the throne room under heavy guard. When Gordon and Verna entered, the old seer's face went pale. Impossible, Martha breathed. The ritual should have destroyed you both. You underestimated the mate bond, Gordon said coldly, his hand firmly wrapped around Verna's. And you underestimated her. Aldrich lunged forward, but the guards held him. You're still cursed. She's still dangerous. Her power will destroy us all. Verna stepped forward, and her voice rang out clear and strong. No more dangerous than any alpha in this room. My power is mine to control now. And I control it through the bond one share with my mate. The watching wolves gasped. The mute girl could speak. And her voice, though powerful, didn't compel them. Didn't force obedience. It simply commanded respect. You tried to kill me, Gordon said, circling Martha. You tried to steal my wolf. Strip me of everything I am. All for revenge over a war that ended 20 years ago. You murdered my family, Martha spat. My son. My grandchildren. Innocent wolves. There are no innocent wolves in war. But Gordon's expression softened slightly. I remember your son. He fought well. Died honorably protecting his pack. War is brutal, and I've done terrible things. But I've never pretended to be anything other than what I am. And what's that? A monster? A king, Gordon corrected. One who does whatever necessary to protect his kingdom. Even from threats like you. Martha laughed bitterly. So kill me then. Add one more body to your mountain of corpses. No, Verna said quietly. She moved to stand beside Gordon. Killing you makes us no better than what you tried to do to us. You'll stand trial before the Council of Alphas. Let them decide your fate. The old seer's eyes widened. You would show me mercy? After everything? Not mercy, Verna said. Justice. There's a difference. Gordon looked at her with something like awe. Then to Lucien, take Martha to the dungeons. Comfortable cells. She'll be fed and cared for until the council convenes. And Aldrich? Lucien asked. Aldrich's treachery was different. Gordon turned to the Southern Alpha. You didn't act from grief. You acted from ambition. You wanted my throne. I still want it, Aldrich snarled. You're weak now. Mated to a woman with power that could snap at any moment. The other Alphas will never accept this. Then let them challenge me. Gordon's voice dropped to a lethal purr. One at a time or all at once. I'll show them exactly how weak I am. The doors to the throne room burst open. 3 more Alphas entered, their packs behind them. Representatives from the eastern mountains, the western plains, and the coastal territories. Verna's heart sank. More challenges. But the eastern Alpha, a woman with silver hair and battle scars, bowed her head. Alpha King Gordon. We came as soon as we heard about Martha's betrayal. You're not here to challenge my mate? Gordon asked warily. No. The woman smiled. We're here to support her claim as queen. Word has spread about what happened in the sacred grove. How she took your wolf into herself to save you. How she was willing to die alone to protect the kingdom. That's not the action of a power-hungry witch. That's the action of a true queen. The Western Alpha, a young man with kind eyes, stepped forward. And the fact that you completed the mate bond and balanced her power proves that the gods meant for you to be together. We would be honored to bend the knee to Queen Verna. One by one, the visiting Alphas knelt. The wolves in the throne room watched, uncertain. Then slowly, they too began to kneel. Even Lucien dropped to one knee, a genuine smile on his face. Only Aldrich remained standing, his face twisted with rage. This is madness. You're all fools. She'll enslave you all. Verna walked toward him, her voice gentle but firm. I don't want slaves, Aldrich. I don't want to control anyone. I just want to help Gordon build a kingdom where wolves don't have to fear their own power or hide who they are. She thought of her own years of silence. The shame of being different. A kingdom where even the broken and voiceless can find a home. The words resonated through the room. Aldrich's resistance crumbled. He fell to his knees, not in defeat but in something like understanding. Gordon moved to Verna's side, taking her hand. From this day forward, he announced, Verna is not just my mate. She is your queen. Her word carries the same weight as mine. Anyone who disrespects her answers to both of us. The assembled wolves held their approval. But Verna raised her hand for silence. There's one more thing. She looked at Martha. You said my mother bound my voice to protect me. Do you know where she is? If she's still alive? Martha's expression softened. She died years ago, child. But she loved you. The binding was an act of love, not cruelty. She knew your power would make you a target and wanted to give you a chance at a normal life. Tears pricked Verna's eyes. Thank you for telling me. That evening, Gordon held a feast in Verna's honor. The great hall filled with wolves from every territory, celebrating not just their new queen but the promise of a better future. As Verna sat beside Gordon at the high table, wearing a crown of silver and moonstone, she finally understood. Her voice had been taken to protect her. But she'd needed to lose it to find something more valuable. Love. Belonging. Purpose. And now, with Gordon by her side, she would use that voice to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves. The mute girl had become a queen. And the Beast King had found his heart. 3 months later, the kingdom had transformed. Verna stood on the balcony of the royal chambers, watching the sun rise over Blackthorne Fortress. The fortress that had once been a place of fear and brutality now hummed with something different. Hope. Strong arms wrapped around her waist from behind. Gordon rested his chin on her shoulder, breathing in her scent. "You're up early," he murmured, his voice still rough with sleep. "I couldn't sleep," Verna said softly. Her voice still carried an echo of power, but she'd learned to modulate it. To speak with authority when needed and gentleness when wanted. "I was thinking about how much has changed." Gordon turned her to face him. His amber eyes glowed with warmth. "Tell me." Verna smiled. "When I first came here, I was terrified. I thought I'd be killed or worse. I never imagined I'd find home." "Find you?" "Best raid I ever ordered," Gordon said with a grin. "Though technically Lucien ordered it. We should give him a raise. I gave him the Eastern Territories to oversee." "Close enough." They laughed together, and the sound was free. Easy. So different from those first tense days. "The kingdom has changed too," Verna said. "The reforms we've implemented, the councils we've established, wolves actually feel heard now. Protected." It was Gordon's idea to create councils in every territory where wolves could bring grievances directly to their leaders. And Verna's voice, with its compelling power used ethically, helped mediate disputes that would have once led to bloodshed. "You changed me first," Gordon admitted. "Before you, I ruled through fear. I thought that was strength. But you showed me that true power comes from protecting the vulnerable, not dominating them." "You were never the monster you thought you were," Verna said, touching his face. "You were just waiting for someone to see past the armor." A knock at the door interrupted them. "Enter," Gordon called. Geneva stepped in, her face bright with excitement. "Your Majesties, the children have arrived." Verna's face lit up. She'd established sanctuaries throughout the kingdom for orphaned wolf pups. Places where young wolves who'd lost their packs could find safety, education, and new families. Today, a group was visiting the fortress. They hurried down to the great hall where 24 pups waited, their eyes wide with wonder and nervousness. Verna knelt before them, making herself small and approachable. "Hello, little ones. Welcome to Blackthorne Fortress." A tiny girl, no more than 6, stepped forward shyly. "Are you really the queen who couldn't talk?" "I am," Verna said gently. "For many years, I had no voice. I know what it's like to feel powerless. To feel invisible." "But you're not powerless now," a boy said. "You're the strongest wolf in the kingdom." "Strength comes in many forms," Verna explained. "Sometimes strength is being brave enough to be vulnerable. To ask for help. To believe you're worthy of love even when the world tells you you're not." The children listened with rapt attention. Gordon watched from the side, his heart swelling. This woman, his mate, his queen, had done what he never could. She'd taken a kingdom built on fear and was slowly, patiently, rebuilding it on compassion. After the children left, loaded with gifts and promises to return, Verna and Gordon walked through the gardens that had been planted around the fortress. Flowers now grew where once only stone and weapons existed. "I received word from the council," Gordon said. "They've officially recognized our reforms. Other kingdoms are starting to adopt similar practices." "Change is spreading," Verna marveled. "Because of you." "Because of us," she corrected. "You gave me the platform. The protection. The partnership. I couldn't have done any of this alone." They reached the center of the garden where a statue had been erected. Not of a warrior or conqueror, but of 2 wolves, one gold and one silver, intertwined. A monument to balance, Verna read the inscription. To power shared, not hoarded. To love that transforms. Do you ever regret it? Gordon asked suddenly. Giving up your chance at a quiet life? You could have disappeared. Started over somewhere peaceful. Verna turned to him, her silver eyes bright. Not for a single moment. This is where I was always meant to be. Beside you. Leading with you. Loving you. Gordon pulled her close, kissing her forehead. I spent 20 years building an empire through blood and conquest. But the greatest thing I ever conquered was my own darkness. And I did that because you showed me light. That night, they hosted a gathering of all the alphas who'd once questioned Verna's right to be queen. Now they came not to challenge but to learn. To seek her counsel. To ask how they too could build better kingdoms. As Verna addressed them, her voice carrying through the hall with perfect clarity and control, Gordon marveled at the journey they'd taken. From a mute captive and a ruthless king to partners who'd changed the face of the shifter realm. Later, alone in their chambers, Gordon held Verna close. What are you thinking about? She asked. The future, he admitted. Our future. He placed a hand on her stomach. The family we'll build. The legacy we'll leave. Verna smiled, covering his hand with hers. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. Always, Gordon promised. You saved me, Verna. From myself. From loneliness. From becoming the monster everyone feared. And you saved me, she whispered. You saw me when I was invisible. Heard me when I had no voice. Loved me when I thought I was unlovable. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, two wolves who'd found their balance. The mute girl had become a queen beloved by her people. The ruthless Alpha King had become a just and compassionate ruler. And together, they'd proven that even the most broken souls could find healing in love. That power shared was stronger than power hoarded. And that sometimes, the greatest strength came not from dominating others, but from having the courage to be vulnerable with the one person who truly saw you. The kingdom of Blackthorne thrived under their rule for generations. And the story of the Beast King who was tamed by love, and the silent girl who found her voice, was told around fires for centuries. A reminder that true mates didn't complete each other. They transformed each other. And that transformation could change the world. The end. Thank you so much for reading this journey with me. What did you think of Verna and Gordon's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more epic shifter romance tales. Until next time, my beautiful pack, remember that your voice matters, your story matters, and you are worthy of a love that transforms you. See you in the next story.